Welcome to Delightfully Dysfunctional, a podcast about navigating the emotions of the human condition and the challenges that come with it. I'm Keilani Persian Mason, a psychotherapist and life coach with James Timmons, an ever-curious human. This is not a replacement for mental health therapy. Please seek out mental health care if that's what you're needing. This is an opportunity for self-healers to dive deep and understand more about themselves. Welcome back to Delightfully Dysfunctional. I was trying something new. I don't know.
I liked it. Yeah. Good energy.
Yeah. Unique New York.
Unique. New York. Yeah.
I'm Keilani, and I am here with James.
Greetings.
And today we're going to talk about how James did some ketamine.
That's right.
Actually, that's like a side of what we're talking about. That happened this last week, but it ties into our topic of really understanding the turbulence that we can put into our life and how we can find ways to calm that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because it's not just the unexpected of, you know, there's storms that happen, there are circumstances that happen that can throw us off, but we do have a lot of control of what our inner state is as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And it segues perfectly. I mean, full disclosure, we kind of designed it that way, but it segues perfectly of my experience. And so those of you that have been faithful listeners know how reluctant and skeptical I was of psychedelic assisted therapy, but I had recently committed to a healing journey, and my heart was not in it, but I decided to take all the actions that I know that I would thank myself for later. And so then I was like, you know what, just do this, you know, because like I trust you and you've, you know, rallied for it a lot. And so I'm just like, okay, I'm going to do it. And I know there's a good chance that I'm going to feel a little more healed. And one thing that you had mentioned was like that your neuroplasticity is fresh after.
Yeah, it increases the GABA production in your brain, ketamine, that particular psychedelic does. And it creates more neuroplasticity. And that there are elements of that to be true in other psychedelics as well, operating with different parts of the brain. But that means that neuroplasticity is your brain's ability to learn. And the older we get, the harder it is to learn. It's, you know, that saying, can't teach a dog new tricks.
Yeah.
But it allows for your neurons to form new connections. So habits that you're wanting to break, perspective shifts that you're wanting to have. Yeah. It's a lot easier to see everything with a new light.
Yeah, and so I was really mindful of that. So afterward, I deliberately like resisted any of my typical coping mechanisms or impulses, whatever. And then I went and went into the wilderness the day I went and hiked Multnomah, and we actually created a video up on YouTube right now of that. But so I made sure to like really pack in as much like feel good stuff in the moments after, the day after. And and so Monday and even Sunday, the next day, I felt like a lot more calm and in a place of peace, and a lot more like not necessarily resilient. I mean, it was resilience, but it was like I felt less affected by things, you know. But then I'm noticing I have a tendency where if I'm feeling good, I will like just kind of test out like the danger zones of my past. And so I did that a little bit in the last couple of days, and it started to like re-trigger me in ways again, you know. So but I'm also so the experience itself, and I'll just briefly kind of talk about it because there's this one major theme in it. And
I think we'll revisit it in the course of this podcast too. I think there'll be opportunities for it to naturally come up.
But yeah, true.
Yeah, ketamine isn't a miracle. I don't think any of the psychedelics are, but anything that allows for an altered or higher state of consciousness that we can use to our benefit as humans to grow and to deepen our understanding of ourself and the place that we have in this world. I think it's something to explore.
Yeah.
And although integration is really the practice of how do I reroute myself into the insights that I found in that experience.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we can certainly test those waters in different ways, but if we revisit that the ultimate goal is to really form a new path, that's where we can get back on to this new mindset too.
Yeah.
With more ease.
Totally.
Right before your ketamine experience, you shared something you'd learned from the book, The Mountain Is You.
Mm-hmm.
But it was this practice, this visual practice that monks were using, a metaphor of viewing a body of water, like a lake, for example, and any kind of agitation or disturbance in the water, anything that was creating turbulence and waves or ripples, it was making it difficult to see clearly.
Mm-hmm.
To see, we can't see clearly in disturbed waters.
Right.
And similarly, it's hard to achieve clarity and insight when our mind is unsettled and turbulent.
Yeah.
And ketamine can often create that stillness. So it's really an opportunity for you to really commune with yourself.
Yeah.
And find a deepened trust with yourself. So I thought that was really interesting, and it may have influenced some of your experience
Yeah,
too.
I think it did a little bit.
Yeah. So we were wanting to really break apart this metaphor and weave in the experience that you had so that people can understand what a ketamine journey may be like. I've seen people have a variety of experiences, but I'm so excited to have that conversation with you. Also, it's been several days since I've last seen you when we had the ketamine session. So I get to understand more things that maybe have peeled away or insights that you found.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you said, that illustration of the body of water. Yeah. I think it said something like you are a body or inner peace. Your inner peace is like that of a body of water, like a lake. And it's not so much like trying to force it to be still, but allowing it to just rest, and it'll naturally return to its natural stillness. And the only thing is that you have to stop interrupting it. And so, yeah, in my ketamine experience, the first thing I saw was a lake, and it was like surrounded by mountains, and there was a shore, everything, and there's all kinds of like imagery and illustrations and things. But and there was one. There was like a waterfall that fed into the lake, and there's a pond, and I think that the messaging that I got from my own brain was that I have it really kind of tied in that I've been chasing happiness and running from unhappiness, but the place that I've like just overlooked was peace, and that's the place that I'm supposed to exist, and that's the place where where happiness will exist, because it's not that happiness is not a destination. Happiness is a feeling, but the place of peace, the body of water, is a place. It's a place to like. And in my experience, I built a house. I first had this like rundown shack, this imagery, and it was raining, and in my mind, I knew that I lived in this shack, and it was like a place that's just really uncomfortable and gross. And then later, I started building my own a new house, a beautiful big house, and it was on the corner of where I could see the lake and the waterfall. And so then I realized that. Now that I'm talking about it, it's kind of like I'm the gatekeeper of the waterfall, and then because the waterfall is ultimately what is feeding and interrupting the lake. So I mean, there are natural storms, like it rained in my dream, in my experience, and like that's just a natural storm that you can't control. But I mean, it didn't affect me. It didn't bother me. But so then building my house, as the gatekeeper to the waterfall. And allowing I'm the protector of that lake. Yeah, see that I just thought of that. But
this is part of the integration, is finding opportunities to revisit like this and talk about it. You gain more insight. I recall right after when you had shared there were so many details, you guys. He's sharing just a piece of it, but there's, in my personal ketamine experiences, it's very much symbolic things, and there's just so much that's communicated without words. Yeah. But you can sense what is true for you in that, right? Just like I just watched you do it now as you were talking, and then you're like, no, this is what it is. This is what makes sense, right? And we can't escape some turbulent waters. There are deaths, there's illness, there's tragedy in this world. And it is going to stir things up like a waterfall would. But at the same time, there's so much within that lake that we can work on to be still and not add to the turbulence. And then I love this concept as well of stillness and depth. Like when water is still, it reveals depth, depth of consciousness, a depth of understanding, of mindfulness. And it's funny because I frequently say, like, I enjoy swimming on the deep end. And, like, it's that kind of depth is what I'm meaning, because in all literalness when it comes to swimming, I probably need adult swim lessons. Like, I'm not that great in that sense. Don't put me on the deep end. I'm more of a wader and a splasher. But in this sense, I love understanding the depth of, like, who someone really is. And it's this opportunity with these medicines to reacquaint yourself with that part of who you are. The most important part. And it was a really cool experience. I would highly recommend. I wouldn't say do it every day. No. No one's recommending that. But no, I mean, I definitely would like to do another one, because I felt like it was a progressive story that I was watching, and then I feel like it was like an unfinished story. I'm like, okay, I want to see what happens next, because where I left off was like, I built my house and I was sitting in a rocking chair, like overlooking the lake and the waterfall. It was beautiful. Like I would highly recommend building a house where you next to a waterfall and a lake. It was really pretty. As a realtor, you're like, so, prime real estate. If that was real, I could sell it for probably a couple million. So, and I wouldn't live there. I mean, this is an experience. Okay, hold on now. There's a bug. Where? Oh, gosh. Watch out, folks. We should keep that. Oh, here. Okay. James just saved me from a bug. It's an earwig. It was crawling on my mic, you guys. Yeah, slay it. It's dead. Okay. Got it. Talking about inner peace, and I'm like, slay the bug. Well, I mean, sometimes, that was an interrupter. We've done other podcast episodes talking about ketamine, and we've had Dr. Sabrina Hadid talking also about it. But for people who are new listeners, they are probably a bit confused, and maybe I should fill them in a little bit more. Okay. Yeah. I'm realizing I should have maybe started that way. But full disclosure, I have a headache, and I'm trying my best today. This is me rallying. So I'm a ketamine-assisted psychotherapist, and I'm trained to help prepare, guide, and provide integration counseling and coaching to people who are experiencing ketamine, which is a dissociative anesthetic, to really heal themselves. It has been used now for treating anxiety, depression, and a host of other different mental health illnesses and ailments. I very much with my holistic approach and integrative approach to mental health, I view that most of the diagnoses in the DSM are really triggered by some form of trauma. And so really it's trauma is what we're treating. Some people do have true chemical imbalances as well, but a large degree is the way that we are raised, our attachment, and so much that comes from deeply painful experiences. So ketamine allows really the defenses of your mind to soften. And so you can find this place of stillness. You can find that still body of water. Yeah. I feel that many of my clients express that it feels more like mindful. They can find that calm, and they don't have the maybe critical voice or intrusive thoughts that take away from their peace. And so it's this really lovely place of like kind of just coming home to oneself in a lot of ways, which is actually beautiful too, as you were describing, like building a home, you know, in your experience.
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely like calming and I mean, it felt good, but then I know I experienced a whole range of emotions. Like I remember like weeping, you know, and but that felt more like a release.
Yeah, cathartic.
Yeah, I don't know what that word means.
Oh, yeah, cathartic means like a release.
Okay.
Yeah, like, oh, there'd been you were just emotionally constipated, man. And
yeah.
just, like, let it out.
And I actually did poop my pants.
Oh, God, that did not happen. I would have left. That would have been like, peace out, man. You're here on your own.
I pooped them later.
Oh, God.
After you left.
Oh, well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with the ketamine.
Yeah, I just wanted to make that announcement
I just wanted
for
to,
everyone.
yeah.
Had nothing to do with the
Yeah.
Yeah, great. I don't know where to segue from that. Then we're done, folks. Oh my gosh. What I did love too is like you really did your homework. I provided preparation journaling questions, and you were really thoughtful about them. And that's what makes these psychedelic medicines that are now being used more and more for mental health. It is, what is your intention with how you're using them?
Yeah.
Are you setting that intention? Are you cultivating the right mindset going in? And does the space feel safe?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I kind of wanted to like be in the zone before. I didn't want to like, you know, be all weird and distracted or something before experiencing that. But yeah. Also, I had already been on a really intense quest of healing and inner peace. Primed. Yeah, and so then that, and I kind of, you know, I set it up that way to where I was like, I want this to kind of be like the slam dunk, like the walk-off home run, you know. But then, and it really was a huge pivotal, like, it was a, you know, a huge step in my healing. I would say that I feel a lot better today than I did last week. Yeah. You know, and I mean, I still have a ways to go. Right. But
in traditional and recommended ketamine work, it's usually 6 to 8 sessions that are happening in a pretty short amount of time, like 2 to 3 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's this building upon of kind of like we're planting a flag in a different part of the brain. We're stimulating a different part of the brain. And each time we revisit it, it strengthens that neural pathway. Is one way to think of it. Yeah. So this one experience, for many people, just one experience isn't going to be, you know, the huge fix depending on where their starting point is at. Yeah. But it illuminates a path and a feeling that they may not have known even what peace and calm felt like.
Yeah. Well, I'm just so thankful that I was given that image of like a place and that like and then because several times this week I've already like closed my eyes and like gone back to the lake and then like allowed myself to be still. And I'm noticing another thing that the monks do is they allow I think they call it like surrendering to the mind, where you don't try to control your thoughts, but you allow feelings to come and like pass through and process them, but not to act on them. Right. And so I've been doing that, and so I noticed that whatever trigger. I give myself a lot of self-induced triggers, I've noticed too, and and that's my coping mechanism. So when that happens, it'll take about 30 minutes after for me to return back to my place of like calm and peace. Yeah. So then I'm like, okay, James, stop inflicting yourself.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Impulsiveness that can create a lot of turbulence in the waters. Yeah, that whole idea of mindfulness and what you're incorporating into this idea of the lake too, and letting thoughts come and pass over. It's kind of like wind can come and it might create some ripples.
That's
in
a
the
great
mind,
analogy.
you know. But can you just like allow it to be and move through without needing to? You don't have to jump onto the wind like a kite and fly off with it.
Right. Yeah.
You can just let it be.
Well, and then and it's exactly, like the wind will create some waves, and then like and you know, you have to allow it, and then you still have to sit there and wait, you know. And
I think trust for the stillness to come. I see a cycle for a lot of people of an unpleasant thought floating in, and then they'll attach a meaning and an emotion to it. Yeah. Or I feel shameful that I thought that, that was messed up, or now I want to do that. Like they don't have, like their thoughts are in control of them.
Totally.
Instead of, there it is. And it's gone, and I'm still, and I can come back. And even the way that you're reflecting on the experience of the lake, I actually would love everyone listening to partake in this. And it was cute when I worked at the elementary school, this was a strategy that I would teach the kids, but I'd call it a mind walk. I'd say your body's going to stay here and your mind's going to take a little walk. But it's just a mindfulness strategy. For those of you who are able to, I would say try to close your eyes. If you are driving, please do not. Keep your eyes wide open. Be aware of your surroundings. But take a moment and close your eyes. And I want you to think of the most peaceful or the safest place in your memory or that you can conjure up. Take a moment and find that spot. Okay. And now we're going to invite all our senses into this experience. So really take in everything that you can see with vivid detail. And take a breath and like imagine, what are the smells in this area? Like if it's the ocean, oftentimes that's one for me, then I would smell the sea salt.
I smell a blueberry corn dog.
I just ate a blueberry corn dog, like a breakfast corn dog. This is what I ate. We're taking away from the experience. We got to be mindful. Come back. Okay. Come back to the ocean. Okay. Wherever it may be.
The lake.
The lake. Right? Yeah. Right. What are all the smells? What are all the sounds? Like transport yourself back to that space. What are all the sounds? Are there birds?
Seagulls. Yeah.
Are you inside? Are you outside? Are there people?
Are you asking me or no?
I'm asking.
This is guided.
The ether.
Okay.
Yeah. You just chill, man. Just chill. Yeah. It's not helping. Okay. And now take into account like what are you feeling in this space? Are you sitting on the ground? Are you sitting on a chair? Just, answer to yourself. Find the details there. Imagine what that would feel like. Transport your mind. If there happens to be a taste in the air, or if food is a part of your happy place that we're visiting. And remember, now just let all of those senses wash over you and come to your heart space and really think of how did it feel there. We started out with words that sounded about calm and peace, about feeling safe. Just reroute yourself, and you can add your own descriptions in your mind. And then whenever you're ready, wiggle your fingers and toes, open your eyes and revisit. But that is a mindful space that can be created without my blueberry corn dog.
The blueberry corn dog smells amazing, just
it
so you know.
It sounds like a weird thing, but I'm telling y'all. You got to try it.
It's really good. I didn't eat it, but I smelled it, and it smells good. Yeah. But
my happy place is eating a blueberry corn dog. Maybe.
No, I returned to the lake personally, and just kind of more experience of that, and that is now like cemented as like my happy, my peaceful place, not my happy, but my peaceful place. But what you were saying about like kind of the mind running wild, and I learned recently like to sort of reparent myself, because my inner child has been at the steering wheel for so long, and so when those intrusive thoughts come, and a lot of times self-inflicted, then normally I will chase that thought, and I'll create more narratives of my imagination will just be like full blown, like all cylinders firing.
Right. Like that scene in Inside Out
yeah.
too, where it's like, she's hijacked the imagination to think of the worst case scenarios for everything.
So I've gotten good at reparenting, going, no, like that's not happening, that you don't know the situation, you know, whatever it is.
Yep.
And I have to say, like, just exist right here and like be curious and like to borrow from Bluey, like we'll see, just be present. Like you like keep doing the things that you're doing to like make a better potential future for yourself, but don't ruminate and like, you know, worst case. That's been my biggest problem. That's what's created so much trauma in my brain, like things that haven't actually ever happened, just like the imagined
the anxiety
trauma
is just spinning. And it can feel so all consuming. It can feel so real and vivid, or we can tell ourselves it's most certainly what will happen. And none of those things are effective tools to really help you in life or create that stillness. It is certainly churning that water and creating a lot of turbulence. Absolutely.
And that picture was so helpful for me because like I'm like, my waters have been so turbulent and like there's giant waves and it feels so crazy. And then once I reach that place of stillness and peace, then I'm kind of like, okay, well now I can notice like little ripples that come and go, and I can allow them to settle. It's a lot easier. And then I am much more like, it's easier to be much more disciplined to be like, no, stop. Like, why are you doing that? You're creating little waves. Like, stay away from that, you know?
I think, and there are like little things that I want to share as well, because for some people, a firm tone when you're talking to yourself can feel like I'm being reprimanded and then trigger shame. And that's okay if it doesn't for you. But I think that, because I think the way you're speaking to it is kind of like you would as a parent to a child that's getting too close to the edge of a pool without a life vest. Right. Like, no, you need to stay safe. Right? To add another layer of softness, if that's needed for anybody in your own reparenting journey, I think it's okay to also say, hey, I know that you're trying to keep me safe. You're trying to see what risk is out there. And that's why you're drumming up all these ideas. But I need you to know that, like, this wise Keilani, I've got a handle on it because I can trust myself to navigate whatever waters come. And right now, the best thing for us to do is to practice that stillness and to just be here right now. We don't need to add to the turbulence. It's going to be okay.
I like that. And then it creates like the inner child to calm down as well.
And I think it creates a more, you know, in the parts work that we've described, it creates a different kind of trust too between that inner child and you as the wise present version of yourself.
And then it also kind of keeps you in like a high vibration as well. Like it's, you know, it's cool. Like, and I mean, the self-talk I've had is like, we can sit here and try our best to prepare and predict the future, but the pain down the line, if something painful does happen, no matter how prepared we were, it's not gonna reduce the pain.
And so why force yourself to live through it over and over in your mind?
But the trust is, we've handled every bad situation. So if something bad does happen, it's gonna be okay because it's always been okay, and unless you die. But I'm not afraid. But
if you die, you evolve into a different layer of consciousness. I don't.
And then there's no more pain.
We live on in a way. But we don't need to go into death.
We don't. Sorry.
Scenario. We'll talk about death in another episode.
Okay.
I really enjoy the topic of death. So we're gonna
for Halloween.
That in. There we go. And it brings me back to other strategies that I've learned along the way. So much of my work, I'm just like, ooh, there's a phase where I was really into this. And then there was a phase where I was really into that. And now it gets to this point, as I learned these different strategies, it's just fun to sprinkle in whatever fits the moment. So what you're describing as well, and as you're talking to your inner child, is a touch of CBT, because CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, is this understanding that our thoughts influence our emotions and our actions. So how do we pay attention to the unhelpful or dysfunctional thoughts that we have?
Totally.
And question the evidence.
Yeah.
Is there evidence that I have for that? Well, no. There's no evidence for that. I had a client today tell me there was something I had recommended for them to do, and they hadn't done it. And they were terrified that I would no longer see them as a client and that I would hate them or not like them.
Oh, man.
And I had to really help them understand, like, that's not possible. You are in control of your mental health journey, even if this is something I recommend.
Yeah.
And we had to question, like, do you have evidence that I've done that? Is there any evidence that you've had that I would respond with anything that would be anything other than kindness and care?
Yeah. Well, and I've noticed that when people project things like that, that just is a straight up identifier of an unhealed place, you know.
Those are the people I hang out with.
Right. So, no, but that is really interesting. Because, like, well, as you're saying that, I'm sitting here thinking, like, oh, I'll come up with evidence. Like, if I'm catastrophizing, I will create evidence out of thin air to support my narrative. I'm really good at that.
Yeah, and then the other piece is there evidence in the opposite then. And typically then there'd be more. No, there's a lot in this one case, and I'm like tooting my own home. No, I have a lot of evidence of Keilani being like compassionate and kind and whatnot, right? Or in whatever situation it is, it's like being able to look at both. So now you have at least a place to form a more educated response for yourself instead of going to that worst case. But you know, that part of us that creates the worst case images and ideas, it's coming from a really caring space of wanting to take care of us. It's just getting a little out of control.
Yeah.
It needs to take a breather. It needs to practice, and we need to give it the opportunity to practice how to find stillness.
Yeah, and
not attach itself to every worst case idea.
Totally. And that's literally, it is out of control. That's the problem for me. And so, it's all about controlling it, and then, reparenting, and then
understanding it. Yeah. So how do you feel? It seems like you've gained some insights in the last week on how to do that a little bit better.
Yeah,
or
definitely.
Find some new tools. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I still feel the anxieties and the sort of like subtle storm inside of me.
Right.
But I know, it's not as severe as it was. And so I know that as long as I keep not fighting, but as long as I keep
persevering.
Yeah, persevering and becoming better at like allowing the winds to pass, then eventually I'm just going to returning to peace is going to be a quick discipline for me. Yeah. And that's the goal, because I see it now, and I had kind of been guessing my way through life. I think most people are guessing their way through life. In our Constitution, it says we're entitled to the pursuit of happiness, but then no, don't. Happiness is a byproduct, or it's like a thing. Happiness happens. That's actually kind of wordplay, but to exist in a place of peace, and then happiness is like a thing that kind of visits while you're in your place of peace. That's a way, way better way to live.
And that's attainable for everyone.
Yeah.
That's attainable for everyone.
Right.
And, it might mean really mourning and grieving the parts of your ego that thought that you needed, the this and the that or the whatnot, right?
I hate my ego.
And it might mean accepting what isn't there to allow for you to embrace and be grateful for what is. But there is no person whose life is perfect. Yeah. And there's no person who has every piece figured out. And if they do, it's very temporary, like all things, good and bad.
Yeah.
And I hope that, there can be some tools that people have gleaned from us discussing how to find that calm And it really is a practice, just like we had talked about the discipline of working out, which you have dialed in so much better than I do. See, like that's an area I have to work on, fitting into my schedule and taking care of my body in that way. But anyone who first begins, you're not going to be as strong. It's not going to feel like there's as much ease, and then you get into the zone when it feels good.
Yeah.
And you're craving it and you like it, and it's just part of your day. You don't have to schedule it. It's just already there because it's just part of, like, you brush your teeth. Why wouldn't I do this thing?
Exactly. No, and that's such a great analogy as you're talking, because like it's I always say, like, find your groove, you know, when you're looking for what's going to stick with your workout regimen, like find your groove. But then the groove, I'm imagining, is a neural pathway, because like and I feel like this chapter, this revelation for me is I've like found my groove with my healing. And so I'm kind of like, I don't imagine myself forgetting this and like straying from this. I now have like a pretty cemented idea of like where I can return, if when things get good or bad, you know. And
it's that trust in yourself.
Yeah.
And that's really, this is a piece that we had said we were messaging about just like friend to friend last week, but like the practice of being friends with yourself. Do you really like who you are? And it's a trust that has to be formed. Do you trust yourself? I think a lot of people, if you don't, and if you feel like you've let yourself down in certain ways, you might not have very fond or safe feelings within your own skin, within your own mind.
Totally.
And it is a recommitment to oneself to just start with the first little step.
Yeah.
And then, can I revisit it again? Can I revisit it again?
Mm-hmm.
Can I do it again? Like this is what self-love and self-care and really just a path for sustainability really looks like.
Yeah.
It's not manis and petties.
No.
It's like, can I trust for myself to show up and to act with integrity and alignment with my values and to correct when I fumble and stay on course.
Yeah.
And then you will feel good about yourself. You will feel good on the inside.
Yeah.
Find that stillness.
Totally. Yeah. And I feel like that's where confidence comes from, because like I noticed thing about myself is that I was so afraid to be alone. And then I had to sit with that and go, why, I'm so afraid of loneliness, but it's like, well, James, if you are not comfortable being alone with yourself, then you can't really expect other people to be alone with yourself or to feel happy being. And so then I was like, okay, I have to sit with this, and I have to be my best friend, and I have to love myself and go. And then confidence, I'm noticing, is becoming like true confidence is becoming like this symptom of that.
Yeah. Like exactly.
Yeah. Of that confidence and belief in yourself.
Yeah. It's not about like, oh, I have the car, so now I'm going to feel confident. Right. I'm going to have the this or whatever.
Like external, validation.
Which is so easy to start fixating on.
Yeah.
It's about, am I following that path inside? Am I finding that again and again and again? Do I think of like the highest version of yourself and the habits or the life that they have or the things that you want, not in a material possession way, but you just, I don't know, I want to be able to have this kind of show up in this way. How do you want to feel? That's the right way to phrase it. There we go. Yeah. How do you want to feel? How can you move like 1 centimeter closer to that every day? Start adopting that.
Yeah. Well, the thing I notice is like the way I want to feel, because lately I haven't felt like me, and then the way that I want to feel is just like myself again. And I realize that the highest version of myself is that purity where like all the trauma responses and coping mechanisms and impulses and addictions and all that stuff is me, but all this crap heaped on top of me where it has now drowned my meanness. Yeah. And so removing that and healing from all that, then like I'm starting to emerge again, and like I feel like me, because like when I was like really struggling the last month with like depression and like heartbreak and everything, I wasn't like laughing anymore. I wasn't smiling. And I was like, I just want to like get to a point where I can like laugh again, you know?
Yeah.
And so, and the other day I like laughed about, you know, some comedy, and I was like, okay.
Was it about the Olympics? Because we were talking about that.
No.
It wasn't about I'm going to name drop some stuff because I just want to see if anyone has heard these things, then you got to let us know. And if not, you got to check it out right after you're done listening. Anyone heard about the pole vaulter from France?
I briefly.
Yeah, right. And or the what was it? What was she doing?
Reagan, the breakdancer?
Yes, the breakdancer. Yeah, her moves. What about those? The kangaroo.
The thing is that the ratings were incredible. I now work for NBC, and so we got
Is that NBC? Okay,
that's NBC.
So.
Yep. And we were so excited because we've had some of the best Olympics ratings in like recent history. So yeah, and the guy with that Zach was talking about, the Turkish shooter.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know this. He told me that just today, that right after he like competed, he walked up to the moderator and just said like, "Where can I go smoke?"
Yeah.
I don't know. That's so badass.
That is badass.
Oh my gosh. See?
He's probably from the Turkish mob. Yeah.
So
anyway,
real laughter has found you again. Yeah. And
we got a full episode right now.
Oh, all right.
It was a good conversation.
Woo! I know. It's what happens when you're having fun, swimming on the deep end.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Delightfully Dysfunctional. And if you are interested in having a free copy of journaling prompts, and soon there will be a free meditation that will be available on my website, Coach Keilani, please check that out. And it is all really based in the idea of how to have a healthy and safe medicine journey. But those journaling questions, I think, are actually incredibly important for anyone who is navigating change in their life and wanting change. They're the same ones that you did, James.
Yeah.
So those are now available for everyone for free on my website, Coach Keilani. And if you have not yet liked, subscribed, and shared, please do so. And looking at our statistics, you guys, we have like a measly 5 or 6% who are actually subscribed compared to the number of listeners that we have. So please, it helps us continue to provide you with content, and we have so many more ideas brewing, and it gives us that energy. So thank you once again, delightful humans, and we will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.